Hi, it's State Representative Jim Walsh here at the Capitol in Olympia for our regular legislative update. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions just lately about the timing, how bills and various proposals that were passed into law, when they take effect, how they take effect. A lot of the concern is around the tax increases. Chief among these, at least in terms of the questions I've been getting, are two. The sales tax increase on gasoline and diesel fuel, which will raise the price of gasoline by at least 6 cents a gallon and diesel fuel by at least 9 cents a gallon. Those tax increases take effect next month. They take effect rather quickly, rather soon. I also have gotten a lot of questions about the increase or potential increase in property taxes. House Bill 2049 that potentially raises property taxes is one that is not direct. What it does is it puts pressure on local jurisdictions to raise their part of the property tax bill that you get. So it'll take a little time to see how each of the local jurisdictions reacts to that pressure to increase property taxes created by House Bill 2049. That one will take a little longer to take effect. And of course, just lately, with the protests and riots going on down in Los Angeles, down in California, and Governor Ferguson's signing this past weekend onto a public statement condemning the federal government's use of National Guard units to help restore order in California, I've been getting questions about this issue. During the last legislative session, the legislature passed and Governor Ferguson signed into law House Bill 1321, which does some things to restrict how militia, state militia, or National Guard units might be activated here in Washington State. Now, the important point to make about this new law is it doesn't affect the standard deployment and activization of National Guard units. In a situation where there is civil unrest and violence, the president still has the discretion to mobilize National Guard units. The governor and local mayors have no say in that process. The bill that was passed into law during the last session here in Olympia addresses only a very few unusual, exceptional situations where other states want to send their National Guard units, their state militia units, into this state to try to help support. It's more of a state-by-state thing. Whereas when the federal government, when the president uses his existing power to deploy National Guard units, this new law has no effect on that. So if similar riots were to occur here in Washington State, as are happening right now in our sister state down to the south, the president could still mobilize and deploy National Guard units. And what Mr. Ferguson or the mayor of a city here in Washington would have to say, well, I mean, everybody wants to listen to them, but it would have no bearing on that mobilization of National Guard units. I've been getting a lot of questions about that just in the last few days because there is great concern that some of the violent rioting and insurrection that Antifa and other radical groups in California are causing might happen up here in Washington. Let's hope it doesn't. But if it does, the federal government can mobilize National Guard units at its discretion, its choice, when that action is needed, as long as they follow long-standing and existing rules about deploying National Guard units. And the last point for this update, I've been getting a lot of questions about the initiative process. And while we do not talk about specific initiatives through this medium, I can reiterate the general process by which initiatives work here in Washington State. It is a constitutional process described in our state constitution. And as some of you know, because there have been some initiatives lately, the initiative process begins with an initiative being drafted. It has to be written in a manner similar to what a bill to the legislature looks like. And then when that process is done, there is a review that happens with the Secretary of State's office and the Office of the Code Reviser here in Olympia. When that process is done, there's another process by which the State Attorney General's office actually writes the title of an initiative. And then when that's done, the initiative can go out to collect signatures of registered voters around the state. If the supporters of the initiative can collect enough signatures of registered voters, and right now that number is around 350,000 signatures, then the initiative proceeds. If it's an initiative to the legislature, it proceeds to the legislature here in Olympia like a bill. And if the legislature doesn't pass it into law, then it goes to the people at the next general election to be voted on. Alternatively, there are also initiatives drafted that go directly to the people and don't go through the legislature. But lately in the state, a lot of the attention around initiatives has focused on those initiatives to the legislature. And it's likely that that will continue because the timeline for collecting signatures to qualify is a little bit more generous for that type of initiative versus the other. So that's an update and a reminder on how the initiative process works. We may see some more initiatives in the months and years ahead, and I believe it is an important part of our democratic processes here in Washington State. So I'd like people to know about it, how the initiative process works, and what you can expect to see of it in the months and years ahead. That's it for this update. I hope you're doing well. The weather is beautiful here in Olympia. Let's enjoy this summer, and I'll talk to you again soon. Until then, stay strong and be well.